Namaste. So tonight I'm going to read Book 2, Chapter 10 on the death of King Parikshit. Om Bhagavatam Om Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Devi Guru Saksha Paramata Tasmasha Maha Devi Sarvabhuteshu Vidyarvitna Sanshritanamasa. That's Sutta said, O Rishis, on that very day when the Brahmin Kishapa went out of his house, Taksak, knowing the king Parikshit cursed, assumed an aged Brahmin's form and went out of his abode. The serpent Taksak met the Brahmin Kashapa on the way, seeing the Brahmana versed in the mantras. Taksak asked him, "Why are you going so in haste? And what for are you taking this trouble?" Thus questioned, Kashapa replied, "I heard that the serpent Taksak will bite the king Parikshit. Therefore I am going in haste to the king Parikshit to cure him of the serpent's poison. I know the mantra, mystic verse, that can destroy the effect of poison. If his life period is not exhausted, I will certainly give him back his life." Taksak then said, "O Brahmana, I am that Taksak. I will bite him and take away his life. So you better desist. Will you be able to treat him whom I bite?" "Certainly you will not." Kashapa said, "O chief of snakes, when you will bite the king who has been cursed by the Brahman, I will no doubt make him alive by the power of my mantra." Taksak said, "O chief of Brahmanas, if you have so thought that you will make the king alive after I bite him, then shew me your strength beforehand. O sinless one, I will bite this Nyagroda tree, the Indian fig tree. Just now make it alive." Kishapa said, "Certainly I will make this tree alive. That will be burnt away by the venom of your teeth." Sutta said, the snake Taksak then bit the tree, which was reduced to ashes, and asked Kasapa to bring back that tree to life. Seeing the tree reduced to ashes by the fire of venom of the snake, he collected all the ashes and said, "O highly venomous serpent, see today the power of my mantra. Behold, while you are witnessing, I will enliven this tree." Thus the great mantra knower Kashapa took water in his hand, and impregnating it with his mantra power, sprinkled the water on the ashes. Immediately on the sprinkling of the mantra saturated water, the Nyagroda tree got back its life as before. Taksak became greatly astonished to see the tree enlivened again, and said to Kashapa, "O chief of Brahmanas, what is your object in taking so much pains? Speak out what you want, and I will fulfill your desires." Kashapa said, "O chief of serpents, knowing the king cursed, I am going to do good to him by my knowledge, and to get in return abundant wealth." Hearing this, Taksak said, "I will give you the amount of wealth that you desire. Take that and go back to your house, and let my desire be also fulfilled." Kashapa, the knower of the high estate, heard Taksaka's words and pondered in his mind again and again, "What is to be done now? If I take this wealth and go back to my house, my name and fame will not be known in this world, simply for my greed. But if the king be made alive again, my undying fame, abundant wealth, and greater punyam will accrue to me. Again, fee to that wealth with which there is no fame. So one must strive one's best to preserve one's fame. The king Raghu in ancient days gave away everything of his to the Brahmanas for fame. The king Harishchandra and Karna did not hesitate a bit to give away endless property. There is one point again to take into account. How can I trifle away the matter, seeing the king burnt up by the venomous fire? If I can bring back the king's life, everyone will become happy. If the kingdom be without its king, the subjects will no doubt be ruined. So following the king's death, sin will also incur on me due to the ruin of the subjects, and infamy will come on my head that I am a very greedy man. Thus meditating in his mind, the highly intelligent Kashyapa began to meditate and plunged himself in dhyana. He thereby came to know that the king's life period was spent up, thus knowing the king's death imminent. The virtuous Kashyapa took the desired wealth from Taksak and returned home, thus making Kashyapa to retire to his house. On the seventh day, Taksak went on to Hastinapur to bring death and destruction on to Parikshit. When he went close to the city, he heard that the king Parikshit was staying on the upper story of the palace, and the palace had been preserved by various gems, mantras, herbs, and plant. Taksak became very anxious and fearing lest the curse of the Brahmanas will fall on his head, became very much agitated and thought, how shall I now enter the palace? How can I cheat this stupid hypocrite, vicious king, cursed by the Brahmana, who causes troubles to the Brahmanas? Not a single man has taken birth in the Pandava family ever since that he coiled a dead serpent round the neck of an ascetic Brahmin. The king has committed a very heinous crime, and knowing the course of time to be infallible, has placed sentries on all sides of the palace and has ascended to the topmost story of the building, thinking thereby to deceive death, and is staying in a peaceful mind. How can then he be smitten? In accordance with the Brahmana's words, the king of dull intellect knows not that death cannot be prevented. For that reason, he has placed guards and sentinels round the building, and himself has got up the house and is happily willing away his time. But he is quite ignorant that when fate, who can never be violated, ordains the death, how can it be prevented, though thousands of attempts are made to thwart it? The scorn of Pandu family knows that his death is at hand and yet wants to live, and therefore is staying in his own place with a tranquil mind. The king ought now to make charities and other virtuous works. It is only by acts of dharma that disease is destroyed and life is prolonged. And if that be not the object, then a dying man ought to take bath and make charities, and to await his time of death. He thereby attains heaven, otherwise hell is inevitable. The king committed great sin in the act of causing pains and troubles to the Brahmin or other similar acts, and therefore death is so close that the Brahmin curse has fallen thus on his head. Is there no such Brahmin who can make him understand this? Or the Creator has ordained his death now as inevitable. Thus meditating, the chief serpent made other serpents following him assume then form of ascetic Brahmanas, and gave them roots and fruits to be taken to the king. The serpent Taksak himself entered within the fruits in the form of an insect. Then the ascetic serpents took the fruits and quickly went out of the place. They came to the palace where Parikshit was resting. Seeing them, the guards ask, "What for have you come here?" Hearing this, "We are coming from the hermitage to prolong the life of the hero king, the son of Abhimanyu, and the son of the Pandava family, by chanting the mantras of the Atharva Vedas, and we want to have an interview with the king. Now you better go and inform the king that some Munis have come to see you. We will sprinkle water on him and give him some sweet fruits and then depart. We have never come across such gatekeepers in the family of Bharat as disallow the ascetic Muni visitors to go and see the king. We will ascend to the place where the Parikshit is staying, and we will bless him and wish him long life. We will communicate to him our orders and then depart to our own places. Suta said, hearing these words, the sentinels spoke as previously ordered by the king, as follows: O Brahmanas, we think verily you won't be able to have an interview with the king today. You, all ascetics, can come tomorrow to this palace. O Munis, owing to the Brahmanas' curse, the king has built this place. Then it follows, as a matter of course, that the Brahmanas are not allowed to get up to the palace. Then the serpents, in the form of the Brahmanas, spoke, O good sentinels, then take these roots and fruits and offer them to the king and communicate to him our blessings. The sentinels went to the king and informed him of the arrival of the ascetic Brahmanas. The king replied, bring here the roots and fruits offered by them and ask what for they have come. Give them my pranams today. I cannot meet with them. Let them come tomorrow morning. The sentinels went to the ascetics and got from them their fruits and roots and offered them with great respect to the king. When the serpents, in the guise of the hypocrite Brahmins, went away, the king took those fruits and spoke to his ministers. Take these fruits, and let all my friends eat them. I will take only this one fruit given by the Brahmanas, and I will eat it. Saying this, the Uttara's son Parikshit gave away fruits to the friends and took one ripe fruit for himself, broke it, and saw within it a very fine copper-colored black. Saying this, the Uttara's son Parikshit gave away fruits to the friends and took one ripe fruit for himself, broke it, and saw within it a very fine copper-colored black-eyed insect. At this, the ministers were astonished. The king spoke to them. The sun has set, so there is no further chance of any fear from any poison today. I speak then today, fearing the Brahman's curse, let this insect bite me. Thus saying, the king took that insect and placed it on his neck. That tuksak, in the form of an insect, when placed during the sunset on the neck by the king, immediately assumed the form of the terrible Kala, death, coiled around the king and bit him. The ministers were greatly surprised and began to weep and cry with great pain and sorrow. Seeing that terrible serpent, the ministers, overwhelmed with terror, fled away on all sides. The guards cried out loudly. The terrible outcry was raised on all sides. Then Uttara's son, the king Parikshit, coiled by the serpent, so that all his efforts were rendered fruitless, and remained silent and held fast to his patience. From the mouth of the serpent Takshak, the terrible venomous flames came out, burning all, and immediately killed the king. Thus taking away the life of the king, Takshak went up in the celestial atmosphere. The people then saw that the serpent was ready as if to burn the world. The king fell down lifeless like a burnt tree, and all the persons cried out, seeing the dead king. Thus ends the 10th chapter of the second skanda on the death of the king Parikshit in the Maha Puranam Srimad Devi Bhagavatam of 18,000 verses. Om Jayati Mangala Kali Badra Kali Kapali Durga Kashma Shibadadri Swaswara.